Welcome to Stories We Weren't Supposed to Tell. This is a survivor-led space where we speak honestly about abuse and what it really takes to rebuild your life. This podcast is not a substitute for therapy, and we are not providing medical advice. Please take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and take care of yourself while listening. Today's episode contains discussions of child abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence, addiction, incarceration, and trauma. While we will not be sharing graphic details, we will be speaking openly about experiences that may be difficult for some listeners. Today you'll hear Gayleen's story, a story that began with not being believed, a story shaped by violence, addiction, survival, and years of carrying shame that never belonged to her in the first place. Like so many survivors, Gayleen learned early that staying quiet felt safer than speaking up. But her story just isn't about trauma, it's about getting up. It's about surviving long enough to discover that your past does not determine your worth, about choosing recovery when addiction tells you you're not worth it, and about choosing yourself when life has taught you not to, and about finding hope when every reason in the world tells you there isn't anything left. Gayleen often says that if she could make it out alive, maybe her story could help someone else make it out too. This is Gayleen's story, and I'm going to let her tell it. Tell us a little bit about who you are today.
I don't know. I guess just a mom. Like to think of myself as a survivor.
Is there anything that you think the listeners should know about you right now?
I just think that just the trauma that I've survived, and the addiction. I belong to the 2% club.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people that have been meth addicts and have survived it. I found out it's only a 2% that make it out.
Mm-hmm.
I just celebrated 23 years clean.
Congratulations.
Yeah, awesome. So not an easy thing to do.
It's not. I had 3 miscarriages because of my addiction. Now I've got 3 beautiful kids.
Mm-hmm.
Driving me crazy. But I just think if I could make it out alive, maybe my story would benefit somebody else. Because I know how hard it is to come forward, and like people say that you would never let that happen to you. But if you've never been in that situation, you really don't know how hard it is to leave and walk away.
I tell people that often, like when they're like, well, I just don't understand why they didn't leave, or I don't understand this and that. And I always tell people, be happy you don't understand, that you've never experienced that, because
you don't have to go through that, mm-hmm. the mental anguish, the physical, any of it, because it's not that easy to just walk away. Because
nobody starts out as Prince Charming. If they did, then you wouldn't, they've started out the way they're going to treat you, then
you would never from the beginning that. Mm-hmm. But once you're into it, and then once you have kids, it's not easy.
All right. So looking back, where do you really feel your story began?
I would have to say about 11 or 12. I come from a family of 6 kids. My parents got divorced. They split us kids up. Each took 3. Then my dad went to prison a year later for 5.5 years. So my mom got all of us back. By then, my oldest brother was gone. My sister was kind of home, but not home. My brother, we're 22 months apart. So we're really close.
Almost like the twin bond.
Yeah, my mom dressed us as twins all the time growing up. And then he got into just smoking weed, which wasn't too bad. And then he got put in a Proctor home, so it was just me and my 2 little brothers. So I grew up pretty quick. I had to help my mom raise them. She had to work 2 jobs just to support us. So my brother went to a Proctor home, and then he went to a group home for a while. Then my sister went to a group home. My mom had a couple boyfriends that, they were okay. Then she had a live-in boyfriend. And she worked during the days. During the summer, we were home with him. He was abusive to us. To me and my brothers, we would run away during the day, come back when we knew mom was home. And then it got to the point where he would start touching me. I mean, nothing below the waist, but, I was just starting to develop. So I didn't know. I mean, I knew the difference between good touch, bad touch. But when I approached my mom about it, he told her that I was lying. I was jealous. She told me I was jealous of him. So that went on for a little while until she caught him with another woman in our house. And then she kicked him out, but she never apologized to me for coming forward and telling her things. And so I didn't think of it as a big deal. I guess I just thought that it was normal. If my mom wasn't concerned about it, then I probably shouldn't be either. Maybe I was overreacting. I don't know.
So how do you feel? Do you think that shaped your voice to speak up later in life?
I think so. Actually, I didn't find my voice until about 10 years ago. Because I thought that, if coming to your parents, if they don't believe what you tell them, who else do you go to? So yeah, and just previous relationships, I wasn't able to be who I was. I was trained to keep my mouth shut, look at the ground when I walked, never make eye contact, especially with another man. Never put myself in a situation where I was alone with somebody. So I think it did.
Okay. When your father was incarcerated, how did you handle that? Like, how old were you?
Let's see. He got out just before my 17th birthday. So I think I was 12, about 12 and a half when he went.
And at that point, were you with him or were you?
No, I stayed with my mom. Because my dad took, he took my baby brother, my other brother, and my sister so that my sister could babysit while he went to work. And then my mom kept me and the other two. I mean, him going to prison was really hard, especially for the reason he went. He was accused of molesting or raping my sister. And then come to find out that was just all an elaborate story because he wouldn't let her do things she wanted to do.
Oh, that's awful.
When he first went to prison, they moved him around quite a bit. He was in Gunnison, and that's, if I remember, I knew as a kid it was a long ass drive. So we'd be able to go see him, and it was full contact, so we'd be able to hug him. Which I think did more damage because we had to leave. And then after all the allegations came out, everything, his lawyer told him it was best if he just pled guilty instead of going to trial and everything. But after a while, I can't remember how long he was in Gunnison, maybe 2 years. And then my sister would come with us to go see him. And at that point, I didn't understand, why? If somebody did this to you, why would you want to be in their lives? Why would you drive the 3-4 hours to go see them? So I didn't understand, and that put a really big barrier between me and my sister. Just because she took away the only man I ever knew that loved me and would take care of me. I mean, we're close now. We don't talk about it. But and then once he left and my mom started dating my brother, and I would run him out of the house as soon as we could. We always had this notion that my dad was coming home, and our family would be fine, and that they would get back together. And I know that's every kid's dream, maybe it's just temporary, but that never happened. So, we ended up doing 5.5 years. Came along just before I was 17. By then, I had met my ex-husband, and he was great. We started dating the end of my freshman year, and my mom met my stepdad, who there was just something about him. He was terrific. He was a wonderful man. Miss him every day. He's been gone 9 years now.
Has it been that long now?
Yeah. He died just after Stephen did. And
Yeah, because I remember that was a hard time for you because you lost
I lost
2
4.
people. Well, yeah.
Because we lost Stephen in December. My dad in April. Max in May. Yeah,
It was a rough. I remember it was rough for you and the kids.
It was a really rough year. But when my brother came home from his proctor home, he's like, "Who is this guy?" I was like, "You gotta meet him." I'm like, "He's amazing." Like, him and my mom dated for 3 months, and they got married. We're married for 27 years before he passed away.
When you think about yourself when you were younger, what is like one thing that you wish you had that you didn't have? If you could just pick one thing.
One thing, yes, my own self-worth. Knowing that I deserved better than what I got. Not allowing people to treat me that way just because I guess I didn't understand what love was. And so I did, or, I settled. And I guess as long as you apologize, it makes things better. Or you say, "I won't do it again. I'm sorry." And it's fine until the next time. And the next time. So yeah, probably my self-worth.
Okay. So the one boyfriend, he would like fondle you, but you said nothing like underneath.
No.
So
No, and I mean, he did it one time when his son came over to visit, and his son didn't say anything about it either. So I just thought it was normal. I didn't. I mean, like I said, I was like 11 when it happened. So I've never been in that situation. And he told my mom he just like, he would give me a hug, or I was overreacting, that he didn't like me like that. I was just a little girl. And then I guess it escalated from there. Not with him, but we lived in a fourplex, and the people in the end apartment were gang members, but she had 4 little kids, and so I would babysit for her. And then when she'd get home, like, a lot of the gang members would come over and they'd just hang out. I'd usually go home. And it's after having my dad gone. I started rebelling a little bit, hanging out with the gangs more often. And then, sorry, one night,
take your time.
she was gone, and they would just show up periodically, come hang out and drink beer and stuff. I got raped at her house by one of the guys, and I remember, like, during the whole ordeal, she walked in the bedroom, saw what was going on, and she shut the door and walked away. And I thought, I couldn't tell my mom about it. I couldn't tell my brothers because with them being in the gangs, I didn't want retaliation. I didn't want anything to happen to my family. I mean, it did anyways. They spray painted our house. They spray painted our cars. So, there was really nobody to talk to. I didn't go to therapy. I became very isolated. And then when I met my husband, my ex-husband, we should say, um, he was sweet. He took care of me. He would buy me flowers. Hold my hand in public. I mean, we were only 15, so I thought we had dated. Let's see, end of our freshman year, junior year, he proposed, and my dad had just got out of prison. I want to say August. He was really sweet. I remember one time, and it should have been because he would walk me home from school. I remember one day I went with some friends before school, and we went and smoked weed. And when I came back to school, he had ran into me, and he's like, "Are you high?" And I was like, "Yeah." I didn't think it was a big deal. It was just weed.
Mhm.
But I remember him pushing me against the wall at school and yelling at me, and I just thought, why are you mad? Like, everybody does it. And I guess that should have been the first sign that things were not going to go.
So you'd say that was like the first red flag,
I
the
would
first.
say that was the first red flag with him. Oh, he was. It's hard to talk about him. He went to Ogden High, and I went to Benloming. So during the summer, he convinced his parents to buy a house over in Ben Lomond School District so he could go to school with me. And so, like I said, we dated for a while. We got married. It was about 2 weeks after we got married. We were looking through our photos from the wedding, and this girl called him. And I didn't think anything of it because we had friends. But then he tells her, because I remember I got up and I went in the other room and I heard him tell her, well, he's like, you had your chance. He's like, I'm married now. He's like, but what my wife doesn't know won't hurt her. And I thought, did I just hear that? Is that? And so I confronted him about it. And I told him, I said, that's it. I said, I'm leaving. I'm going to my mom's. My mom lived like a mile away, so it was walking distance because I didn't have a car. And he came upstairs, and I remember he pushed me backwards, and I told him, I said, I'm leaving. I don't want to be here. And that was the first time I had ever been hit by a man. He busted my lip open, gave me a bloody nose. And I just remember running downstairs and crying. And he came down and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. He's like, I just swung my arm. You were in the way. He's like, I would never hit you. That was the beginning of a year of torture. After that, I got hit pretty much on a regular basis. I wasn't allowed to have guy friends anymore. If I went to my mom's house, I had to tell him I was leaving. And then I had to call when I got to my mom's. And then when I left, I had to call him when I got home. And if it took me longer to get home than it did to get there, I got beat. He hit me a lot. I always showed up to my mom's with like a black eye or like a busted lip or something. I remember one time we were at my mom's house. It was before we got married. My room and my brother's room were downstairs, and somebody had called, and it was just one of my guy friends from school. Then he got really mad, and he had me cornered in the closet. He was just punching me. And I remember my brother banging on the door. He's like, hey, you want it on the phone? And it's like, and I had the cordless in my room, so I pick it up and there's nobody there. And I remember my brother breaking through the door and grabbing him and throwing him out, but he was part of the games too. I guess I never learned my lesson with that part.
So your boyfriend, ex-husband was part of the gangs, not your brother, right? I just want to clarify. Yeah, I just want to clarify. Okay.
No, my ex-husband was in 18th Street. And he got me into drugs. He introduced me to meth, and from that day, I think, like, the first time I ever did it, I became addicted, and that was my only escape, because it just made me numb. And then the beatings weren't so bad, because I guess I just, like, disassociated myself with everything. Stepped away from my family. Like, I look at pictures now, which I keep as a reminder of where I was and where I'm at. But I don't remember a whole lot. Like, I'm present in the pictures. But I couldn't tell you what was going on, what I was there for. I mean, it got to the point where my oldest brother wouldn't even hug me because I weighed like 110 pounds. And he was afraid that he would break a rib or something. And so I'm down on it a lot. My husband and I used to sell dope and run the streets. And one time we were staying at this motel, and I told him, I said, I'm going to go see my mom. And 5 minutes after, like, I didn't even make it to my mom's house. And as soon as I get there, she's like, he just got arrested. She's like, they stormed your hotel room. They found drugs, everything. So, and I couldn't even bring myself to cry because it was like, I didn't have to live under that shadow anymore. He went to jail for, I think, a year, little over a year before he got deported. And then we kind of kept in contact. And I remember he would tell me, he's like, you need to come over here. He's like, we could have a good life. And I was ready to go. I was selling all my stuff. And my mom told me, she's like, you know, an American over in a third world country, you're not going to make it out alive. So, yes, with the blessings I have now, I'm glad I didn't go. Yeah.
I'm thankful your mom was able to talk some sense into you because a lot of times moms can't, especially when you're young and think you're in love.
I thought I was. Mm-hmm. I thought I was. I got rid of him, just not the addiction. So I did that for a long time. I think I was a meth addict for 6 years. Was in jail every year since the time I turned 18. I worked. I had a good job. I worked at IRS. I'd get high and go to work. My work was phenomenal. They never had any issues, no problems.
So you were functioning?
I was.
I functioned for a while.
I functioned for a long time.
Till I didn't.
And then, and then one day I just couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to work. I didn't, and my brother got into meth as well. And so him and I would do it together. And I hate to admit, but we would set people up. I'd bring them in. We'd smoke a little bit with them, and my brother and his friend went out and would rob their cars. I do a lot of shit I'm not proud of. But,
right, because he was going to call the cops when their cars just got robbed by the drug dealers.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Yeah, I have a lot of skeletons in that closet too that I don't like to bring out or think about.
See, and I don't like to.
For a long time, I punished myself for that alone, of that I'm not a good person. I'm a piece of shit and I don't deserve anything because of the stuff that I did while I was on drugs. And it took a long time. It was probably recently, like only maybe 2 years ago, that I was like, why do I keep telling myself I'm a piece of shit? Because I'm not.
You're not.
You know what I mean? Like, I would want to be friends with me. I would trust me, you know,
Right.
like, why do I keep that
See,
dark shadow?
I do. I have. That's my demon.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a post on Facebook and it's like, go ahead, fuck around, find out, and I'm gonna let my demons out to play. And I thought, you know, I got a lot of demons, but then I thought that for the longest time I wasn't a good person. I ruined a lot of lives, a lot.
Mm-hmm. But you are a great person.
I just feel like I don't deserve half the stuff I have, you know.
I feel like becoming the worst person you can be is the only way to learn how to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can fully heal until there's a part of yourself that you hate.
I hate everything about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of with you on that, like, since I started on this weight loss journey, I'm finding out who I am again.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like who I'm becoming. I mean, not just on the outside, but on the inside.
Losing weight takes a lot of strength, a lot of discipline, a lot of grit. You do learn. And Crystal was, I should show you pictures of me and Crystal. Crystal was a lot bigger too. She's lost a lot of weight. Very proud of her.
Yeah.
She's a little skinny thing now. I'm just like, I
know.
stand next to her and I'm like, geez, let me go to the gym. But yeah, so she's done that too. But you do learn a lot about yourself and
Yeah.
and physical. I don't know how much physical exercise you do, but
Well, I work 2 jobs, so that's pretty physical.
bless your heart.
My kids hate it.
You
But
got to do what you got to do to
I
pay the
know.
bills.
Pay bills, and
Mhm.
kids are expensive pets.
Yes,
They're so expensive.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I got one that's a tattoo artist, well, an apprentice. So I pay for all of his supplies, everything. My daughter, she's just expensive all the way around. She's a girl.
Beautiful.
I'll
Show you pictures. She is just beautiful.
She's just a girl. And then my youngest, he just had surgery. He tore his ACL in 2 places.
Oh.
How did he do that? I didn't know.
You didn't know?
No.
He just got out of this brace on the 27th. Had surgery on the 14th of April. He was wrestling. It was a combination of wrestling and football.
Mm-hmm.
Tore his ACL.
So is he bummed? Because I know he wants to play football. Is he going to be able to get back to that?
We're hoping. He's doing physical therapy twice a week. But it takes about 6 months to a year to heal. So he said if he doesn't get into football this season, he's gonna gear up for track and field. And so between track and field and wrestling and football, he's pretty expensive.
With the older kids' dad, when you left, what was going through your mind when you left? I know that you said you were really scared. You had to be looking around, checking everything. Do you feel like, how long did it take for you to finally breathe again? You think?
From their dad?
Mm-hmm.
It was, I could tell you, it's been many, many years. I think I was able to start breathing again when Steven moved in. And I knew that I had some sort of protection. But I was always terrified that he would show up unannounced. I knew what he was capable of. I knew prison wasn't like he wasn't scared to go to prison. He's beat people. He's robbed people. He's a very violent person. So So I know he wasn't scared to get locked up. And, and it's sad, but if you go for like a violent crime, you're really not there very long. You're really not. So one night, like he showed up at the apartment when me and Steven came home. It was our first date, actually. And Steven came over to the house because we had to go pick up Riley. And was there waiting for us. And he's like, he's like, who is this guy? What is going on? And so I don't think I was able to kind of relax until Steven moved in. But then I knew what was capable of. So I don't really think I started breathing until he started going to prison for years. And I knew he couldn't get to me. I knew he could get to my kids. And, I screwed up because I let him see him. When we had my daughter's 5th birthday party. He came over like the day before, 2 days before to meet her, and she was like, he's like, well, she don't call me dad. I said, she don't know you.
Yeah.
She has no idea who you are. This man is her father. He's been there since she was born. That's the only dad she's ever known.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would never take them to the prison to visit him. When my stepdad was around, we went to the prison once because he was going in front of the board. And I wanted to make sure he wasn't getting out. And they messed up and said I was there to support him. And I was terrified because I didn't want him to think that there was a sliver of hope that things would get back together, that we could make things work. We could have our little family. Because if he did that to me, what was he capable of doing to my kids?
Yeah.
And I couldn't quit my job and be home 24/7 to watch my kids. It took a long time to learn how to breathe, to know it's going to be okay.
Tell me about your relationship with Steven. We skipped over Steven.
We did skip over Steven.
Yep. So let's hear about Steven.
So, wow. I haven't thought about that for a long time. I remember the first time he ever took, when we first started dating, because I was pregnant with my daughter. And he took me home to meet his very Mormon family. And I remember the whole drive. I say the whole drive like he's way out there in Grantsville. I was so nervous because I'm like, okay, here you are dating somebody that already has a kid, pregnant with another kid. Kid ain't yours. But you want to be there, and I was like, your parents are going to just have a field day with this. And so it actually ended up being really nice. His mom was so sweet. His dad, he's so cute. He's like this tall, I swear. But they accepted me. They accepted my kid. They gave Riley a present. And I was just like, what? Our relationship was good in the beginning. I was, and I blame myself a lot for it because just from the past 2 relationships, Steven had red flags everywhere. And I chose to ignore it because he was goofy. He was sweet. He was funny. He was, he always made me laugh. He always do a stupid little dance, and not just at home, in public. And you're like, oh my God. He was really good with my family, with my brothers. Everybody just loved him. I mean, our first date, I had to have my mom watch my son, of course. I'm not going to take him with me. We ended up just going to a movie. But anyways, I told him, I said, well, we got to drop Riley off at my mom's house and then we'll go. I was like, so just meet me over there. Well, I didn't know she was having a whole typical Saturday afternoon where all my siblings and all their kids were there and my real dad was there and everything. And so, like I said, we worked together. And so he comes over and he walks in the house and everybody's like, oh, this is Steven. And my dad's there and he's like, well, hello, Steven. And he's like, I'm like, yeah, hi, Dad. So, I mean, we had a good night. until we came home and was there. And Steven's like, well, he's like, I said, I can take you back to your place. And he's like, I'm not letting you stay here alone knowing that guy is there. So he was a gentleman about it. You know, we didn't do anything. He slept there and he got up, checked on Riley, made sure Riley was in his bed and, you know, doors were locked. Patio was locked because I lived on the ground floor.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, there was red flags. He cheated on me from the very beginning. Girls from work. And then we were living with my mom because we were trying to get into an apartment and we had to stay with my mom for a while. And he got a DUI. So my mom gave me the money, go get him out, go get our car out of the impound lot. I think he only got one DUI when we were together, I want to say. And it was just because he left the bar and he forgot to turn his lights on. And so he got pulled over.
Get you every time.
I know, right? That's why I never drive.
Yeah.
But, yeah, let's see, when we got, he had his friend, I don't know if you ever met, but, they had parties at his house all the time. And, Stephen would hook up with girls over there, you know, would never tell me anything. And, Stephen would put their numbers in his phone under like little, like hidden messages, you know, like if you look through their phone, you're like, oh, well, that's a weird name.
Yeah.
You know, but it was never a girl's name. It was just something weird. And, he got put on probation, had a no alcohol clause, and he was doing good. And then, he would start hiding, liquor bottles around the house. I had this little hope chest, and it was all full of blankets and stuff. And he would stick his bottles down underneath the blankets and drink when I wasn't home. And the alcohol just got to be too much. And he was verbally abusive sometimes. Never physical, but I think I could have took him. But there was, I mean, just aside from the cheating part and the drinking, it finally got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And he would lie to me. He would take vodka and he would put it in like spray bottles so it looked like household cleaner. He lived out in Clearfield, and if you go down into the basement, it was like rafters. And he would take his vodka bottles, the gallons, and hide them up in the rafters. So if people came over, you know, you never found alcohol in his house. But it was really bad. I remember taking him to the hospital because it was pretty much like alcohol poisoning. His liver function, I guess your normal liver function is like 50. His was 250. And so he was in the hospital for a while. They had IVs, everything. And I'll tell you, you never know true love until you wipe a grown man's ass, you know. And I did that for him while we were there. And I thought, you know, you can't drink like this. You can't do this. And I was like, do you understand what it's doing to the kids? Because he'd come home and he'd be drunk and he'd be stumbling around and everything. I mean, I think Steven was my easiest relationship I ever had because he never laid a finger on me. He would raise his voice sometimes, but never to the kids. And then I guess he got into drugs after because when I left, I had nowhere to go. I had 3 kids. You know, who's going to take in 3 kids? And we ended up going to stay with my cousin who had 5 kids. So it was me and the 3 babies all in one room. And we just helped out because I got food stamps. So I would buy food for the house. I'd help her cook dinners. I'd help her clean, you know, and we stayed there for a while. And then we went to the shelter. And then we got an apartment through them. And then after that, I mean, things really started to look up for me and the kids. I was a single mom, but I was doing good. I was working. My kids were in daycare. You know, they went, Riley was in kindergarten. Brooklyn was preschool. So I had 2 in diapers and 1 in kindergarten, and trying to deal with Steven's drinking and partying all the time. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And I just decided, this isn't the life I want for me or for my kids. So I don't understand like the vicious cycle. I just think it's like something wrong with me.
It is.
It's like I want to fix people. Like I hate to say that term, but I see potential. I see good in people. And it's like, if you would just let me help you, if you would let me fix you, and I've always been like that. Always.
So I had another thought on that. I'm a fixer.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I wasn't perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But I knew that I could help other people not be like myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I could make it so that they weren't like me, then they could be better than me.
Yeah.
But what's so wrong with me? Why can't I accept that being me is actually a good thing? Because I went through the mud. I went through the muck, and I didn't swim my way out. I clawed my way out of darkness and demons holding on and pulling as hard as they could. Why wouldn't I want my daughter to be just like me? I'm pretty cool. I'm a pretty cool person. And until you can take that step back and realize how much you're worth, you're not going to fix anybody.
Yeah.
Because you have to fix yourself first.
See, that's what I always tell my daughter. She's like, she'll make comments. She's like, you're such a good mom. You do this, you do that. And I'm like, you know what, though? I was like, don't be like me. I want you to be better than me. I want you to strive for things. Never settle. Never do this. Never do that. And I think about that sometimes. Yeah. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm pretty awesome.
You are.
I'm a good person. I'm happy most
In
of the time.
spite of the world, you have come out and you're still this loving person. And that's something to be proud of.
Man, I don't see it that way.
You should.
I'm gonna, well, if you'll let me help you work on some stuff,
Uh-huh.
if you'll let me.
Yeah.
Because you're a great person. You have a big heart. You want to help people. I mean, you've helped me tremendously, throughout the years. I think there's some self-worth and some self-love and some things from your childhood blueprint, which I don't know if you listen to the podcast or not.
I do.
But I talk about the childhood blueprint. And I think you have a lot stuck in your childhood. And with your trauma and your abusive relationships that you went through, I think you're holding a lot of that in you, and you're blaming yourself for a lot of it. And you shouldn't be blamed for other people's actions, because you have a big heart and you wanted to try to get through and try to make your life better and the kids' life better and try to make that other person better. Don't.
Mm-hmm.
And beating yourself up with the drugs, because I like the stuff that we used to do. Like, we're not those people anymore.
Yeah.
We've done our time. You've
closed the door on your addiction. You need to also close the door on the guilt. That's hard.
And
addiction.
It's hard.
That's the hard part.
Because I still have places, like when I drive past certain places, and I have the memories of like the stuff that happened there, and I start beating myself up, and then I just have to take have to bring myself back to the present and have to be like, you're not that person anymore.
Yeah.
And if you could go back and change it and make it right now, you would, but you can't, and then I've had, I do feel like karma and the cycle and everything, and you as well as me, we've done our time, Gayleen. We've done our time. We have to stop. We got to figure out a way to let it go and not try to think that we don't deserve anything because of the stuff that we did in our past, because that's not true. You deserve somebody who loves you the way that you love, right? Those are the people that you deserve in your life.
Yeah.
Nothing less.
Yeah.
And you should be able to have people that make your life peaceful, that make your life easier, because you spent so many years in survival mode. You're still in survival mode.
Yeah.
You know? So I do think that there's some things that I could definitely help you with. I do think that you see the patterns and you're aware. I do think that you can pinpoint patterns, especially with your life, and the trauma that you've experienced and the manipulation. What do you think? Because I asked you what kept you in it before, so this is kind of the same thing. But what lies did you tell yourself throughout your life to make you stay, that you think you were lying to yourself about to get through?
Wow. A lot, actually. A lot of, I guess the number one that sticks out the most was I deserve this.
Yeah.
I'm damaged. Who's ever going to love somebody that's been through stuff like this? Or how can I love somebody through things that I've been through and not compare them to past relationships? I mean, I know you see the red flags, but you're like, hey, I had a red flag in this relationship. Reminds me of this. How do you differentiate the two?
They're not supposed to.
Yeah. And I think that's my thing is I do. I'm like, okay, but this is why he did that. He's doing this for this reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think has helped you? Because I know you've made changes and I know you've done some healing. What do you think has been the most effective for you
to heal?
Mm-hmm.
My kids. I know, and everybody says your kids are your life, but really, my kids are my life. I don't think if I ever, like I told you, I had 3 miscarriages because of my addiction. But at the time, it hurt. Now, when I look back on it, I can see it as more of a blessing because I watched my friends that we were all addicts. We all ran together. We all did the same shit. Only everybody had kids and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it was like, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I have a baby?
Yeah.
And then over the years, their kids got taken away. Their kids got taken away. Now their kid suffers from methamphetamine addiction and stuff like that. And it's like, you know what? My miscarriages were a blessing because now I've got these 3 beautiful kids that are striving and I'm actually clear and present minded to take care of them, to be like, okay, we have an issue. I can't run to the drugs. I can't go numb myself. I have to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. Some of the things, like I told you, my son had a nervous breakdown. And if I was numb, I wouldn't even care. I'd just be like, you know what? You're good. It just, having my kids is the biggest blessing that I could ever say. I mean, they can be little sassholes sometimes, but I don't think if I had kids when I did and got out of the addiction, I would probably still be there or not here.
If somebody's listening to this that is an abusive relationship right now, what would you want them to know?
There is hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, leaving is hard, but staying is harder, and it only progresses the longer you stay.
You got to choose your hard.
You do.
I tell my kids that all the time. You have to choose your hard. Pick which one.
Right.
Because every decision, everything we do, you have to choose your hard.
Mm-hmm. There's always something for every action you do. There's always a consequence. Mm-hmm. You just got to see which is better of the two.
Yep. What message do you hope listeners will take away from your story?
I guess I would just say that there is hope. There's a lot of life to be lived. At some point, somebody has dealt with addiction, whether it be drugs, alcohol, like you said, food, porn, whatever. There's all different types of addiction. but there's also life to be lived. And, if you focus on your addiction, you're missing out on greater things.
I like that. If you could go back to the lowest point in your life and tell yourself something, what would you say?
Get up. I would definitely get up. Because I think when I was in the lowest parts of my addiction, just not just my addiction, but the abuse, I felt like a scared child. Like, I don't know how to explain it really without just saying that I felt like I was stuck in this place, and no matter what I did, nothing or nobody was coming to save me, and I had to save myself. So, like the last time I went to jail, I didn't fight with my PO. They went to take me to Weber, and I said, I'm Davis. And she's like, I said, just take me. I said, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And even being in jail for that last little bit, I was there for 2 years, and watching people come and they'd get out, and a month later they were back. And
The revolving door.
The ones talking about their kids. I miss my kids. I want to see my kids. And then they come back, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? If I had the chance to go, I would go. I didn't have kids at the time, so I didn't understand. But, you talk so highly about your kids and how you want to be there and be present, but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it took that last little bit, missing out on my mom and her twins' 50th birthday party. I got to see pictures, but I missed out because I was in jail. I missed out on, a lot. And then looking at pictures from my addiction, I still missed out on a lot, and I can tell you, I don't remember a lot of like my childhood. Like I've blocked a lot of that out. I've blocked out a lot of my life, but I've held on to the addiction. I've held on to the hurt for so long that that's who I am. I'm just like, I feel like I'm just a ball of mess, so.
But you're not.
Yeah. It just felt like if I, like, sharing this story with you has been really hard, but good. Because I always felt like, even with my mom, like, my mom and I are really close. She's my best friend. And there's things I won't even tell her because, like, I guess just during this whole podcast, that she doesn't know a lot of this. Because I never wanted to hurt her the way I've been hurt. And I don't see how it would benefit her to know everything that I've been through. So I've always just kept it to myself. I don't want it used against me. I don't want to hurt anybody else. I don't want the pity. I don't want this, nothing.
But telling your story helps. It helps you heal. And I promise you, there's going to be people that are going to reach out and tell me that how your story helped them, because there's not one story that's went out yet that I haven't had people be like, oh my gosh, I could resonate so much with them and what they were saying. So you're helping other people and you're helping yourself. And we don't have to go around and like, here's my bucket of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go splash it on you. And I'm going to go splash it on you. And I'm going to go splash it on you. Like, we don't need to tell everybody our deep, dark secrets or things that happen to us, one-on-one. But your mom can handle it. And I don't think your mom's going to pity. I don't think it's going to be a pity party. But it's one of those things that it's like, okay, this is what she went through. She let it out, and
she
and how strong you are.
The podcast said if she could listen. And I said, I don't know how that works.
Like, well, for me, with my book, I was really worried about my book and like my family reading it and stuff. And they've all read it.
Yeah.
The only person that has not read it is my dad. I told my dad he could absolutely not read it.
Oh.
I said, I'll write you a book later that you can read, but you're not reading this book. So, Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard when you put yourself out there, but I'm happy that you did, and you're all
Last
good.
10 minutes have been about murder of the bladder.
Gayleen said something during this conversation that I want to leave you with. Leaving is hard, but staying is harder. You have to choose your hard. I think that's exactly what this episode is about. Not the addiction, not the abuse, not the mistakes, but the moment a survivor decides to get up and keep going anyways. Gayleen's story reminds us that healing doesn't require a perfect past. It doesn't require that you have never stumbled, never relapsed, never made mistakes, or never carried shame. Healing begins when you stop defining yourself by the worst things you did while trying to survive them. Gayleen, thank you for your courage, your honesty, and trusting us with your story. We are honored to share it with the world. If this episode brought anything up for you, please know that you're not alone, there is support available, and that your story matters. You can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-4673. If calling feels overwhelming, you can text HOME to 741741 to connect with the trained crisis counselor. Do you have a story that needs to be told? This space is for you. You are not crazy, you didn't imagine it, and most importantly, you are not alone. You don't have to be fully healed to share your story. You just have to be ready to be honest. Please email us at sunshinefaymedia@gmail.com. That's sunshinefaymedia@gmail.com. Follow the podcast, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs it. Next up, we'll be breaking down the manipulation tactics hidden throughout Gayleen's story in our Manipulation Whisperer episode. The book that started all of this, Dance with the Devil, is available now. Thank you for joining us, and please remember, there is life after survival. Talk to you soon.